Hi there. I'm very taken that of the four monarchs that people educated and brought up in the UK feel they relate to best, three of those are queens, were women. Elizabeth I, Gloriana, who had the body of a weak and feeble woman but the heart and stomach of a king, and a king of England. She saved us from Spain, from Catholicism, and from any danger of forgetting how to spy on, torture and kill her fellow Christians. And then zooming forward a couple of centuries or more, Victoria, the grandmother of all European royalty, who went into hiding quite early on in her reign and really deserves to spark a revolution, so reluctant was she to come out of mourning. And finally, Queen Elizabeth II, now gracious lady ruling over us, who recently became the longest reigning monarch since 1953. I remember it. She's 90 next April and still going strong. Respect. Now, longevity of age or rule does not alone give you legitimacy. You have to go back over 1,000 years to find any ruler from London who could claim to be English. Elizabeth I was a Tudor, Welsh upstarts, the whole bunch of them. Victoria was a Hanoverian, noble German household. And of course Madge is from the House of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, only taking the name Windsor, stabbing in a map down the park, I should think, in the First World War to distinguish the current king at that time of England from his German cousin, the Kaiser, with whom we were at war. So our lot were fighting their lot. So if in this age of democracy our head of state is hereditary, not elected, isn't of the same nationality that she reigns over, and heads an increasingly minority religious elite, speaks in an accent long since passed away, why hasn't there been a Republican revolution? We could replace these illegitimate inheritances either by the total anonymity of an elected president of, say, Germany or Switzerland. Now come on, I challenge you. Did you know there was a president of Germany and of Switzerland? And if you did, can you name him or her or they? Bet not, I can't, that's for sure. So the other alternative, I suppose, would be to have an elected head of state. So often in the so-called democracies, particularly sadly in the United States, where it's a corruption of money rather than the illegitimacy of birth which dictates who rules. Now, all this came to a hilarious head this week in London. The newly elected leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, elected by Labour Party members, and all those mischievous sprites who pay £3 to buy a vote, some I'm sure from other parties, and not elected at all by sitting members of Parliament of the Labour Party, suddenly found himself zoomed into a celebration of our war dead and so required to sing the national anthem. Now, for all the reasons above, and probably lots of other even better ones, he's been a socialist Republican for 30 years and kept firmly stumm in the celebration while all the great and the good in the royal presence knocked out the national anthem. Now, do we admire him for his lack of hypocrisy, or do we mock him for a social faux pas? The evil right-wing press here in the United Kingdom, of course, would have crucified him either way, and they did. Now, why am I telling you all of this? Because while the row was going on, the government were slipping through another bill aimed at further destroying those who already have little left. And on the other hand, millions of refugees from Syria, Iraq and Afghanistan, two nations of which we've comprehensively bombed, were trying to get to a new life in Europe. Now most of them want to go to democratic Germany with its elected but nameless head of state, or to the socialist Nordic countries where if they still have royal families they ride around on bicycles and go to Lidl's. Now why would they come here to a country which judges its loyalty of its subjects by how that subjects, not always citizens, subjects by how far they revere a foreign hereditary head of state, or whether they can recite the second verse of a hilariously jingoistic national anthem? Beats me. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.